Well, you could be intelligent without reading.
Please start the show with that. And if you continue to listen to this
can.
podcast, God bless you. You can still be intelligent and not read.
It's all up here in the noggin.
Welcome into Scoop City. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played in the NFL for 14 years.
Chase, I was at the bagel store this morning, and I was talking to this woman.
Bagel store sounds Jersey to me.
Why do you always say that? Whenever I reference any place I eat, you don't go to a bagel store in the morning for your breakfast?
No, there's no bagels out here. Bagels suck out here.
Guess what? That's your loss. Another reason why I will take New Jersey over
I like a
Indiana.
good bagel. Okay, said
Yes.
No one ever. New Jersey over? No. No.
We'll debate it one day. So when I was talking to her, she said, do you know what the Sunday scaries are? I said, yeah. She said, I have summer scaries. I said, why? She said, I go back to school. I'm a principal. Tomorrow's the first day of school. So I know your kids have been in school. School is back in session. And here's the thing. I have season scaries, right? We are finally here. We've been spending so much time talking about
Game
what
week.
these teams are going to look like, what the games are going to look like, right? We got Thursday, Ravens, Chiefs. Friday, we got the Eagles and the Packers in Brazil. Then we had that slate of 9 games on Sunday and Jets 49ers
Aaron
on
Rodgers,
Monday
baby.
Night Football, right? Like this thing is juiced up. We've got a lot of big games that we're going to talk about later on this week in our next episode. We're going to focus a lot today, though, on the Chiefs specifically, knowing that the story of the summer is this three-peat, this idea of a three-peat. Yeah. So the Athletics beat reporter, the great Nate Taylor, is going to join the show as our guest today to just kind of give us his view of what camp was like, what this team's been like. Locker room is open now, what the vibe is in Kansas City, as this is going to be an AFC Championship game rematch. And then we've got the Jets playing the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. How is Aaron Rodgers going to look? Is he game ready? Is that Achilles 100%? Everything we've been hearing on the ground is that he's had a phenomenal camp. So that should be obviously one of the biggest games of the season. But let's get to it. What I'm hearing around the league.
Monday, Jamar Chase was out at practice, but he was not practicing. Any updates on that contract?
It's like, he's there, he's not, he's there,
Yeah,
he's not,
it's like,
he's there,
I
he's
can't
not.
keep up with it.
Right? So Wednesday's important, okay? So Wednesday's going to tell us everything in regards to how this is going to play out. That's how Cincinnati sees it. Now, look, Zach Taylor admitted he overspoke. We've discussed how perhaps maybe they got ahead of themselves. It appeared that there was a little bit of a wink from both sides of, look, I'll come back out of practice and I trust that we'll continue really good conversation and have talks about this getting done. And then of course we saw what happened, which was Zach overspoke and now Jamar's not at practice. So today's really a bonus day. Monday is a bonus day for the Bengals in terms of a practice. So I don't freak out when I hear that Jamar Chase is not there on a Monday. Of course, Bengals fans want to see him there. Of course, this offense wants to see him there. But I was told they're still game planning as if Jamar Chase is going to be on the field. So I think
it's such a weird situation to me because, so I don't say weird. I want to say just quiet situation for me because he's got years left on the deal, right? He's underpaid in his opinion. I'm sure he wants to get $35,000,001, at least that's what I'm hearing on the street, to be the highest paid player above Justin Jefferson.
Is the street called Scoop City Avenue? Is it Scoop City Street? Is it Scoop? Yeah, we told you this. Remember, you made fun of it. You said one penny is going to do it.
It's unbelievable.
So Jamar Chase is looking to be the highest paid wide receiver. It's as simple as that. Like that is the goal, and it should be because the market right now. Justin Jefferson obviously leads the way, making $35 million a year. Jamar Chase deserves, based on what his performance has been, his role in this offense, and obviously his relationship with Joe Burrow, and how this works as a group. And they're not going to back down on it. They're not backing down on the number that they think they deserve. And that number could be right around Justin Jefferson, or it could be even more.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Dak is a lame duck quarterback, Dianna. What are you hearing about this? Is it the money or is it the years?
The holdup at this point, from what I understand, is about the years the Dallas Cowboys are willing to commit to.
Really?
While it's assumed that Dak is going to be paid at the top of the market, the Dallas Cowboys are aware of that. It's, do they want to put themselves in a position contractually that will keep Dak in Dallas longer than 2, 3, 4 years? And that's what Dak is looking for. He's looking for a long-term commitment from Dallas. So the holdup here is really the belief from the Dallas Cowboys. This is a guy who's won a lot of games. But is that enough? Winning's not enough for Jerry Jones, right? We know this. They want to do more. Stephen Jones told us that. They don't want to just be the team that wins a lot of games. They want to be the team that can play in the Super Bowl.
But is it all on Dak, though? That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's all on Dak. And yes, he has been good, if not great, in regular season. He's been very bad in the postseason. But eventually, if I'm Stephen Jones or Jerry Jones, you got to look at the other options out there. Okay, there's not that many. Are they willing to start over? Why can't you do? And this is what I'm gathering from you. And just you don't got to tell me, but tell me if I'm tracking here, is that they want a shorter term contract, but also I could see them next year or the year after drafting a guy in the first round to sort of sit under Dak. That's how I view it.
Yeah, because let's just quickly remind you guys, no trade clause, right? First of all, they can't tag him for the third time because that would cost them $80 million. Not going to do that. Money. They have no quarterbacks under contract for 2025. Not even Trey Lance.
Trey Lance is the third string. Come on.
Not even Cooper Rush. Okay, yeah. So they have no plan at quarterback. And then if they do lose him to free agency, it's going to be $40 million of a dead cap hit for the Dallas Cowboys, right? Do you know what this is all called? What I just pointed out? Leverage.
Nope.
Leverage.
He has the most leverage out of any quarterback. Pay the man.
I've never seen something like this before, where it's all just in his court. He is literally just sitting there with his hands behind his head, which is, we've seen a lot of his press conferences, and he's as cool and calm as they come. And
because he knows.
I'm like, because he knows he's going to get what he needs to get, no matter how the situation plays out. Either he stays in Dallas and they wind up coming to an agreement here over the next few days, or he hits free agency and we have a number of teams that would be interested. So we should definitely do that for one of our episodes. Let's dive into which teams we think would be in on Dak Prescott.
I think
can name like 5 off the top of my head right now.
I think it'll be Dallas Cowboys. Let's just mark this down before we move on.
Okay, fine.
Dianna Russini said that she has never seen a quarterback have as much leverage as Dak Prescott has over the Cowboys. Let's move on. Speaking of week 1, because we just talked about, are these guys going to be under contract for week 1? Let's get to our surprise teams. You don't like lists. This isn't a list. This is just me asking you for this season. Okay, we picked 2 good surprises, 2 bad surprises. You're starting first. Give me your 2 teams that are the best surprises of the NFL.
All right, I'm going to start with the Chicago Bears. I love everything that I am hearing out of this building. Everything starting at, of course, the top with Caleb Williams, from the work that this organization put into this quarterback. Right around the combine, the cat was out of the bag. We all knew. They're going Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams will tell you that he wasn't really sure that the Bears were taking him. But if you go back to the evidence of what the organization was doing with him during the offseason, from the combine to his visits, to his workouts, every single time they met with Caleb Williams, Chase, they were giving him basically the playbook. They were installing what the Chicago Bears offense is going to look like. They were going over cadences. They were putting the work in. So when you look at a lot of these young rookies, for some of them, the work is, they're trying to catch up, right? And that's always a problem with young rookies, is, it's going to take some time. And look, it may still take some time, but Chicago has made such a good effort, has made such a strong effort in ensuring that Caleb is at least prepared. And the work that Caleb Williams has put into this playbook and his understanding it has been absolutely tremendous. On top of the fact that they have a loaded skill team, right? And the improved offensive line.
Skill. Yes.
Their defense they've got some juice. They've got an elite corner in Jalen Johnson. They've got good linebackers, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and a full season of Montez Sweat, who we know is just a really good edge rusher.
Hey,
So
I like that
it
one.
is,
I agree
this
with
is
you on
called
that.
coming together. This is called coming together. And that's why I think they're going to be a really good surprise for us this year. Also because they've been so bad for so long. So I think it's just going to be great to see.
I think this is the year that Caleb Williams is going to throw for 4,000 yards. It's never been done before for a Bears quarterback in the history of the franchise. Sort of crazy. Moving on. Next team. Who you got?
Okay. So I view the Titans similarly. All right. They loaded up this offseason. I felt like I spent more time in free agency tweeting about the Titans than I ever have before because they were signing so many people. They have completely rebuilt and changed what the Tennessee Titans are going to look like, right? We know Will Levis leads the way here. He's the question mark, though. He's the one that we're not sure about.
The only question mark, in my opinion.
Right? And you have Calvin Ridley there now at receiver. DeAndre Hopkins is hurt right now, but he will eventually return. We know that they traded for L'Jarius Sneed from the Kansas City Chiefs. They've done so much. Their offensive line, they've continued to draft there to improve.
Yeah, that's a good one.
On top of the fact that they've got Bill Callahan there, the offensive line coach, who of course is the guru and outside Skornecchia is the best to do it. So I just think for a team that sometimes they were almost painful to watch even when they won. It was always so hard. It was so hard for Tennessee to get those wins. And it was almost a strength of theirs at times. Like they were such a pound and ground type team. I think we're going to see a prettier version of the Tennessee Titans now, which is why I think they're going to be a really good surprise.
I love that team, and before I give you mine, like I agree with you a little bit on Tennessee. Like, love their free agency additions, love their defense side of the ball, love their head coach, love their offense, all the things you said. But I still come back to, if you don't have a quarterback, you will not win many games. They really believe in Will Levis, right? Like, and we talked about it. It's like, if you're building this type of team around a guy and you don't draft another guy, like, he's going to have a few years to see if he can progress. All right, my two surprise teams. First one, let's go down to the NFC South. And the Fighting Kirk Cousins, the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion. We had him on the show. He was great. Seems renewed. Even though they drafted Michael Penix Jr., seems almost like more confident than ever. The biggest question mark I have of the entire Falcons team is Kirk Cousins' playoff history. He's only won one playoff game in his years in Washington and Minnesota. That's the issue I have. Love the new head coach, Raheem Morris. Love the offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson. I was with him. I've known him forever. I've known him since like high school. Always had a really smart mind. Comes from that Sean McVay Rams scheme where it's under center, it's play action, it's jet sweep left, jet sweep right. Always putting the defense in a little bit of issues out there. And just with their skill players. Like, in my opinion, one of the top 3 or 5, like, running back, Bijan Robinson, okay, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. To me, that's a top 5 position group right there between those 3. And it really will come down to how Kirk Cousins plays down the stretch. And the NFC South, Dianna, if you go 500, you're winning that division. So they're trending up, in my opinion. In a team I've been trying to talk about on this show.
I have
forever.
something to say about your thought.
Let's go. Yes. Okay.
Okay, I'm good. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. I think you make some really good points about all the skill players here, what this offense could look like. Look, Zach Robinson being a first-time play caller here gives me a little reservation, but he has tons of experience, and he has been doing this a lot, and he's been around some of the greats that are play callers. Obviously, as you mentioned, with Sean McVay, he's been around Kevin O'Connell. You have a defensive-minded head coach in Raheem Morris, so this defense is going to be sound. They just signed Judon, Justin Simmons, all of that helpful with Jesse Bates. I mean, they've got a monster defense. And, I think the big question mark about Atlanta has always just been at the quarterback position. And not only have they filled it, but they backfilled it. They've got 2. So they're certainly set up to have success. But I'm still always going to ask questions during the season, and I'm sure we're going to bring this up. What could they have done with that pick at the top of the draft to help this team win now? Because you know ownership wants to win now. He is not getting any younger. All right, so that's Atlanta as your one good surprise. What's your other?
Yep. I've been trying to talk about this for a while on this show, and everyone keeps poo-pooing me because there's other fun stuff to talk about. So I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts, the Fighting Anthony Richardsons. I am just
I love that you call every team the Fighting. Like, you got to. Nobody says that. No one's going in and fight Anthony Richardson.
Yeah. But anyway, so I'm close with Chris Ballard. He's excited about this year. He's excited. A lot of media, including myself, I guess, are picking these Colts to be this surprise team. Now, they're still in a tough division, right? Houston Texans. I just love what they've built. If their quarterback can stay healthy, think about a backfield, Dianna, with Anthony Richardson and a healthy Jonathan Taylor. Then you draft Adonai Mitchell, which is one of the fastest receivers in the draft, standout guy. Josh Downs, he's going to come back from injury. And then Michael Pittman Jr. Like, all these three guys, in my opinion, are standouts. I was recently in Italy with my wife celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary in July, whatever it was. I can't even remember what.
I love that you don't know your anniversary. We won't put you on blast. Don't clip that, guys.
Well, I think we went in June. No, we went around our anniversary, actually. Yeah. And so we actually randomly, we were in Florence. We went to different places. We were in Florence, and in a jewelry store, my wife was looking at some jewelry, and we ran into Zaire Franklin, of all people, in the jewelry store. And me and Zaire know each other from the NFLPA, and we were talking, chatting. He's excited. He's really excited. The vibes are really high there. He let me know. So, I love the Colts. The Colts still have some question marks, but I think they're going to surprise some people.
Yeah. First of all, what piece of jewelry did you wind up buying Hillary?
We ended up walking away.
Good. Save those dollars. Well, we know you, Chase. You're not one to throw that credit card out quickly. Look, I have worries about Anthony Richardson's health in general. He takes some hard hits, man. Like, that's what I remember about him for the 4 games that we did see him play in. I just think it's going to take some time. I just think we need to probably be a little patient. I understand the vibes. I understand the energy. I understand we're hearing good things out of camp about Anthony Richardson in general. But come game speed, real live action, I want to see if he can do a better job of doing what we see Josh Allen do. What does Josh Allen do great? He hurdles and does weird things, acrobats.
A lot.
He
does a lot.
But he does it to avoid getting crushed, right? Because that helps him stay healthy. So I want to see that. And so much of their success last year came off turnovers. And we both know teams that depend on turnovers for their success, the following year, it's so hard to replicate. We saw it with the Dallas Cowboys 2 years ago, remember? It was like when Dan Quinn was leading the way with them, they were so consistent at it. It's so hard to do that again. Now, that being said, the Shane Steichen element, just the fact that they've taken such a step up in improvement on offense, that's where my confidence lies right now in what the head coach can do. I still need to see a little bit more from the quarterback. But those are really good, fair, good surprises. But then, of course, we got some bad surprises.
Remember about Anthony Richardson, if he does get hurt, who they have behind him? Super Bowl MVP. That they went out and signed Joe Flacco. The Fighting Joe Flaccos. Let's go.
Let's just make this a thing every time we talk about a team. So a team. Let's talk about some of these bad surprises. Just teams that, man, we want to see do well. We believe that they have good traits, but in the end, it just may not be the year. And so for me, the one that stands out, we'll do 2, but one is just the Chargers. I don't think their roster's great. We all knew this going into it. Jim Harbaugh was the big acquisition. And granted, he has done an incredible job no matter where he's gone, immediately improving everything around him, everything he touches quickly. Sometimes it takes a while for head coaches to implement their structure, their culture. He's miraculous at immediately making impact. But I just don't think he's got the horses for right now. Justin Herbert doesn't have the receivers that he needs. And it's just, they've got some big names on defense, but their skill players are just weak. So I have major concern about them. How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a certain extent. I mean, the question that I got asked today on TV, well, the rehearsal, and I thought it was actually pretty interesting, was who is going to be more responsible for the Chargers' success, Jim Harbaugh or Justin Herbert? And I answered Jim Harbaugh because I think just him coming from Michigan and he wins everywhere he goes. But he hires Greg Roman, who was out of the game last year. He doesn't surround Justin Herbert with a number one running back or a number one receiver. I just think the onus sort of falls on him right now.
All right, the Bills are the other team, and I love Buffalo fans so much, so I am so sorry, guys. But I just think on both sides of the ball, they just lost so many guys. They don't have that go-to receiver. Their defense isn't as stout as we've seen in years before. I think another year without Matt Milano hurts them. This is all going to ride on the shoulders of Josh Allen. And while I have so much confidence and he's going to be on the show on Friday, I just think this is going to be a tough year for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. I would agree with that, but it's hard for me to sort of count out Josh Allen just in general because he's that much of a...
No, that's fair. I get it. He is a force multiplier, which is the word everyone likes to use. He is. He's great at making everybody around him. What about you? Who do you think is maybe going to be a bad surprise?
This is going to be interesting, but just bear with me. I want to say, first of all, it's hard for me to figure out a team or two teams, but the first one is the Kansas City Chiefs. Only because... in my opinion, it's going to be a surprise if they do not three-peat. Because I think they're going to three-peat, okay? So the bad surprise is they probably won't three-peat because it's never been done unless they change the course of history. So that's the only thing that I can really say bad about the Chiefs. Like I think they're loaded. I think they're the best roster. I think Brett Veach does an awesome job. It's just when I looked at the surprise and I wanted it to be from a different point of view, that's the one I used on that.
No, I see how you played around with that and played it very safe, by the way, which is good, though, because we got Nate Taylor coming up in the show in just a few minutes, and he lays out some of the holes even that Kansas City may have that you haven't thought about. So Nate's going to join us in a few, but you have one more. Go ahead.
Yeah, this was hard for me, but I think it's the Minnesota Vikings. I don't think it is the Minnesota Vikings. I was really bullish on J.J. McCarthy. Not saying Sam Darnold can't take over that offense in Minnesota, but I just was really hoping to see the rookie, and it's a very tough division. Chicago, what you just talked about, your surprise team, they've gotten a lot better. Detroit's top of, if not close to the top of the entire NFC. So just by process of elimination, I'm going to have to go to the Vikings.
Yeah, see, I definitely think they have some challenges to face this year. Obviously, remember during the offseason, Aaron Jones has now joined them as a running back, and I know they're excited about what he's going to be able to do on the ground for them. But look, I have a lot of confidence in Kevin O'Connell's ability to get the best out of Sam Darnold. So while I don't think they're going to be phenomenal this year, I think they're going to be better than I think that you predict. So we will see. We will. This is what's so much fun about this time of year is we sound so ridiculous when you go back and look at it. Like very rarely do you go back to your week one or preseason takes on all this stuff and it actually pans out, which is why
we're just ready for football to start. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I remember one year I was like, Tom Brady is old and he's never gonna figure it out. I said it on TV like 50 times, like all summer long. All summer long. Guess who won the Super Bowl that year? Tom Brady. So. Take my takes for what they're worth. Still to come, as we mentioned, Nate Taylor, our Chiefs beat reporter, the best in the game. He's going to join the show next. All right, welcome back to Scoop City. We are pleased to be joined by The Athletic's best beat reporter. He covers the Kansas City Chiefs, Nate Taylor, joining Scoop City here. And Chase, before we let Nate say a word, I need to make sure that you know this because you don't hang out in the media press box areas. Like you don't ever do that because you're a former player. When I fly into Kansas City and I get to attend a press conference, this guy is the mayor of Kansas City. Okay, everybody knows him. No, he's too cool. Nate, you're too cool for front and center.
Oh, he's a back row guy.
He's a little.
I love the back row.
He hangs. But his presence is known. I've always said this about him. And I remember when I wasn't an athletic employee, I used to like stress about Nate liking me. I'd be like, this guy is the most powerful media member in this room.
I would agree with that.
I really hope he likes me. And I still don't know what the decision is, but I'm gonna guess because you're on the show that
Yes.
we're all right.
No, I love you, Diana. You know this. We've talked about this several times. Good to see you all again. Yeah, man. I love being in the back row. If I was a player, I would be the player who was in the back of the meetings, kind of taking notes, but often just, there for the vibes. But yeah,
Vibes.
I enjoy I enjoy a little chatter. I enjoy having a little bit of fun. I enjoy trying to make Andy Reid not guess where I'm going with questions. So it's a fun time, and I'm happy to be here.
How long have you been on the beat for?
So this is year 7.
So I must have just missed you, huh?
Yeah. So because I basically started right after the trade, Chase. So the Chiefs trade Alex Smith to Washington. Patrick Mahomes is now, indeed the starter. I think my first time writing for The Athletic, I think my first week actually, as a writer, as a beat reporter, was the 2018 draft. So I've seen everything from then to now, and yeah, man, it's been great. It's 6 straight AFC Championship games that I've.
I was about to say you've been busy. Not like people forget, bro. Like you got a family, and they just keep playing in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Like you've got to imagine. That's where I want to go with this first question, is because you've been on the beat for quite a while. I mean, dude, they've had a rough off season. I know we're getting into the season, but I want to go back before I go forward. Rashee Rice hit and run. Harrison Butker's all over the news. Wanya Morris, Godric arrested for marijuana. Do you think that the perception around the league has changed a little bit with the Chiefs, specifically this past offseason? Or do you think it's just like all football all the time?
I think it's probably half and half. I do think there are some people who suggest, well, hey, it's already hard enough to try to win 3 straight Super Bowls, right? Even get to 3 straight. Obviously the last team to do that, I believe, was the Patriots. But there's some people that just say, hey, man, as long as 15's healthy, as long as 87 is running routes, as long as Chris Jones, number 95, is still harassing the quarterback, they're going to be in a good shape, right? And so we'll get the first look Thursday against the Baltimore Ravens. But I don't know. I think they've had a very turbulent offseason, right? And it even starts, unfortunately, with the parade on Valentine's Day, right? Nothing has really been normal. And so how they, I don't want to say compartmentalize that, but basically how do they get through it while still trying to be the NFL's best team is going to be quite compelling. Because again, nothing was normal this offseason.
Have you noticed anything at all different in training camp this year versus years in the past? You got Travis Kelce, the celebrity, Taylor Swift's drawing up plays with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, they're all buying in. And just from experience, Nate, right? Knowing Coach Andy Reid, like they do compartmentalize those things and they keep it fun and light. And I think that's probably why they were able to shine through in some of these moments. Is it's never too heavy for them because they really buy into it all.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, I think one of the most underrated parts about Andy Reid is creativity, is letting guys have a lot of ownership in how they want to approach the season, right? I mean, even last year, L'Jarius Sneed had the idea that he wanted to be the shadow quarter, and the coaching staff trusted him and gave him the freedom to, okay, you can cover the number 1 guy now, even though we have Trent McDuffie, who's obviously an all-pro in his own right. I mean, I think what the Chiefs have tried to do really since training camp is get better at a couple things, but I also think, too, there's a chance for them to really galvanize around the idea that, hey, not much of the roster changed, right? You have a few rookies, most notably, Xavier Worthy, who's their new deep threat. You have Kingsley Suamataia, their new left tackle. Yes, they traded L'Jarius Sneed, but pretty much everyone else that was a major contributor last year is back. And so how do you develop those relationships? How do you further your scheme if you're, Matt Nagy, the offensive coordinator, or Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator. But at the same time, it's got to be a calming presence to know Chris Jones is not in a holdout. Like, Chris Jones is healthy and he's the best interior defensive lineman in the game. It's got to be great to know, man, even though Travis is going to be 35, going on 36, like, he's still a really good route runner. He still practices hard every day. Like, I think that's one of the things he gets so much respect around the locker room is beyond all the hoopla, beyond all the buzz, like, he's still making things really, really hard on the defense every day in practice. And then, of course, you have one of the best leaders in the league in Patrick Mahomes, who, by the way, is great at everything, right? Who is able to have fun and connect with guys on the offensive side. Obviously, he has a lot of good relationships on defense. And then you have a coach who, when I asked him this in training camp, like, hey, would some coaches be a little bit more fluctuating with the events, right? Fluctuating with the circumstances of, man, Rashee Rice's situation. Okay, Harrison Butker. I mean, I think a lot of guys in the locker room knew he was of conservative faith, but you really want to use a commencement speech to get off all your feelings about, American culture. Okay, like, that's not great. We're also trying to, sign him to a contract extension, which is hilarious. They were still able to do that. And then, of course, you have Travis going all over the course of the world. Like, hey, man, like, you're shooting commercials, you're doing television shows, you're gonna be in Happy Gilmore too. Like, all right, man, like, this is great, but like, because Andy's been doing this for 26 years as a head coach, he just stays very even keel. He stays very business, minded, but also, hey, like, we're not just doing this just because it's on the particular day in the particular calendar. Like, we're going to do this and we're going to have fun and we're going to try to find ways to not only improve, but just challenge one another because they know they're going to face so much adversity this season.
You say that Patrick Mahomes is good at everything. He stinks at pointing out the officials on our Scoop City logo. I just want to put that
His
on
wife,
the record.
Brittany, won that one.
She smoked him. He was,
what a fun night.
I was like, I'm very worried about your eyesight. If you cannot see the officials, you should always know where the stripes are. But Brittany, in Brittany fashion, comes through. She's so competitive. I really like that about her.
By the way, people do not realize this woman is one of the most competitive people I know, right? And so when it comes to the two of them, we've seen them, play, fun games or whatever, cornhole, whatever, like at certain, events. Man, like, they get competitive. I love one of the best scenes of Quarterback a couple years ago was Brittany, beating Patrick in like an actual like throwing competition. I can't remember if it was apples or some carnival game, right? Yeah. And like, I mean, I remember looking at Holly, my wife, and being like, that is the most real thing right there. Like, what those cameras got, that is, I've seen it, and I'm happy, like, millions of other people will see it now through Netflix, but that was a very real moment where she was like, yeah. And when the cameras go off, I know she's going to be dogging them about it all night. So, they are very.
Yeah, I have always appreciated.
They're very competitive. Yeah,
their competitive spirit. I think for someone like Patrick, who's trying to be the greatest to ever do it, to have a partner built similarly in terms of the competitiveness and understanding what it takes, it can't hurt. All it can do is help.
Yes.
And you got to hope that these young receivers are going to be able to help Patrick Mahomes here, right? So we've seen the Chiefs try to find ways every single year on figuring out just the deep threat, right? So now they got Xavier Worthy, who breaks the 40 time at the NFL Combine and talking to people over the summer. Hey, how these rooks look, how the receivers looking. I just kept hearing fast. Like not a lot of detail, just fast with the smoke emoji. So are they playing me, or how fast did they look out there from your eyes?
They do look marketably better from last year, right? And that's no real slight or disrespect to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, because he's very fast too once he gets long strides going. I do get the sense that based on that first practice we saw at training camp, right, the Mahomes play action fake rolling to his left, which again is extremely hard to do from a physical standpoint and the geometry, rolling to your left and throwing across your body 60 yards down the field on a dime to Xavier Worthy. It's like, okay, Well, we now know what this training camp's really about. It's about them trying to find ways to open up their playbook, their deep game, the ability to, have Hollywood Brown run a deep route so that it opens up Travis Kelce more. And the idea that even Xavier Worthy can benefit from someone like Rashee Rice, So I think by being next to Xavier Worthy, by training with Hollywood Brown, like Rashee Rice has gotten faster. Like that's something that I really noticed pretty much halfway through training camp is, okay, this isn't just a first day, like I feel great, like my body's awesome, like we haven't gone through padded practices. Like, okay, this has been pretty consistent. Like, okay, he's gotten some breakaway speed that he didn't necessarily have last year as a rookie. So you can already see improvement from year 1 to year 2 with Rashee Rice. Okay, now you get McCole Hardman back. He's another 4-4 guy. They're going to have Justin Watson be wide open at times, right? He's your 4th, maybe 5th receiver, but he still runs a 4-4, 4-5. So he can be open on certain routes just because the defense has to respect what Xavier Worthy does. And as I wrote, guys, you just know what Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, what Matt Nagy wants against the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday. It's one highlight. They're looking for one highlight of Xavier Worthy catching a deep pass. Who knows? Maybe even
put the league on notice.
Yeah, even for a touchdown, and that's the message. Like, obviously they want to win the game, but I think their overall message on Thursday night is that's what you got to look for again. It might not look the same as Tyreek Hill because nobody's Tyreek Hill, but that guy runs a 4-2, and it's a legit 4-2. And as he gets better throughout his rookie season, all of a sudden now the entire field's wide open again, which was not the case a year ago because Patrick had to get so good about making the right reads, maybe checking it down even when he didn't want to, and then obviously using his legs at the appropriate time, most notably in the overtime victory over the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl. So I know that the Ravens have a really good secondary. I love Kyle Hamilton, but they're going to have this young man go 9 route after 9 route after 9 route.
Yeah,
just
trying to wear him out.
Yeah, just hoping they hit one to Xavier Worthy.
Where does Hollywood Brown fit into this? I know he's out. He's had that injury. What's the latest just update with him? Because like when he signed this offseason, I automatically my head went to like, okay, he's going to be their number one. Him and Rashee are like 1A.
Right.
And then also Juju, right? Like is Juju going to be active for this game because Hollywood's out? Or where do you see him fitting in the equation as well?
Yeah, I do think because of his familiarity with the coaching staff, obviously the terminology's changed a little bit and there's obviously new plays in the playbook.
Yeah.
I do think Juju is still going to be, on the field on Thursday night, in a limited role, but he can still help out in particularly against, zone coverage. I do love the fact, Chase, that they are going to really try to understand how defenses are going to try to, play them over the next couple of weeks. Because I get the sense that talking to people in the organization, who knows, maybe Hollywood is back for week 2. He'll get the 10-day rest going from Thursday night to the following Sunday. So who knows, maybe he's back week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals. If not, then he'll definitely be ready to go week 3 against the Atlanta Falcons. And whenever that happens, right, whether it's against the Bengals or the Falcons, they'll really try to figure out, okay, where are the one-on-one opportunities going to come from? Our team's going to really provide maybe 2-3 eyes on Travis Kelce at all times, and maybe that does set up some of the deep shots for Xavier Worthy downfield. They can still run the ball, pretty well with Isaiah Pacheco. They just signed Samaje Perine. There's an expectation that even he's going to play on Thursday night as sort of that third down running back with Clyde going to the non-football injury list.
Out 4 weeks.
Yep, he's out 4 weeks as he, continues to battle PTSD, which is, obviously he opened up about that during training camp. I wrote it in The Athletic, very commendable. But the Chiefs are going to let him get as much time as he needs before he gets back to football shape and obviously getting back with the guys on the field. So they have a couple new pieces in Perine and Smith-Schuster. But when Hollywood comes back, and if everybody stays healthy, of course, as I've written before, it's with Mahomes at this level and this mastery of the playbook of understanding what defenses can try to do, it could be a spaceship. It could be a spaceship again where I'm not seeing, 50 touchdowns like it was in 2018, but it can be very similar to that 2018, 2019, where there's just going to be highlight after highlight because he has so many capable, competent, above average skill players.
The chess match, we'll call it, as the cool people like to say, between Todd Monken going up against the great Steve Spagnuolo is to me the draw for this game.
Yeah.
I want to see how this defense is gonna figure out this Ravens offense that now, of course, has Derrick Henry. Their offensive line, obviously, just going through the recent death of their offensive line coach.
Yeah.
They've got young guys on this line now, filling in holes of players that are out because of injury or players that have moved on. So the Ravens aren't at their strength right now because they've been through some stuff as well. But based on what you've seen just from this Chiefs defense, and this is a defense that Patrick Mahomes told us on Scoop City that they're the reason why they won the Super Bowl. Like, the defense is the reason why they did it. Are they playing off that momentum of that win? Do they look as stout as they did at the end of the year last year? Just based on what you were checking out during training camp.
I gotta be honest, Dianna. I don't totally feel confident about the defense for a couple reasons, right?
Really?
Because I've seen them every day, and it might take them a little bit of time to get back to like their elite form from last year.
Why do you say that? Because you said earlier they only lost L'Jarius Sneed, right?
Yes, L'Jarius Sneed is the only major player that they've lost. Well, they thought they had a solidified starter at the number 2 cornerback position, right? Trent McDuffie, all-pro, he's great.
Yeah.
Jalen Watts is coming off a shoulder injury. Joshua Williams, another third-year cornerback, kind of struggled in camp. Didn't have the best preseason. Najee Johnson, another third-year cornerback, he's coming off an ACL injury. So they're not really sure how the cornerbacks are going to play outside of Trent McDuffie, right? Nick Bolton has been dealing with an elbow injury. He's going to play, but again, had no snaps in the preseason, right? Yeah. You could say the same for Justin Reed. Quad injury, no snaps during the preseason. Steve Spagnuolo, I think, is a little bit more nervous than usual because outside of, the defensive line, there's been a little bit of an influx during the preseason and training camp. And so one of the more notable statistics, I guess you could say, ahead of this game is the Chiefs starters, whoever the 11th guys on the field on defense when that game starts on Thursday night, that will be their first snap together all year.
Yeah.
Like, they did not have that in the preseason, which, again, Andy Reid's old school. He likes to have guys play snaps in the preseason.
Yeah,
just
they play.
Just to get a feel, just to go through the procedural stuff, the substitutions. Hey, just to get your feet wet, right? Well, they haven't really done that on defense as much as they've done on offense. And so it's going to take Chris Jones, again, just being a maniacal pass rushing, specialist to, I think, really carry them for much of this game because, it's a little bit different now with Derrick Henry in the mix. And I am a little bit worried about, hey, how are the cornerbacks going to look if Lamar Jackson has time, if he, of course, extends plays to create, a couple more seconds for those receivers. We'll see what we get out of Mark Andrews. They didn't have to face him. In the AFC
he didn't play.
Yeah, they didn't have to face him in the AFC Championship game, so that's a little bit of a wrinkle. So I'm a little nervous. I don't think the Chiefs' defense is going to be bad. I just think it may not.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they may not start out the way they did a year ago, where it was like almost shocking how good they were in September, and it was how quickly or how long will it take for the offense to sort of catch up. I think we might be in the inverse this year, where it might take them a month before the defense starts to feel like it's normal. And, they're even missing Charles Omenihu, who has, he's coming back from his ACL injury. He might not play until, Halloween, early November, because he suffered his ACL tear in the AFC Championship game last year against Baltimore. So they don't have
That's good insight.
Yeah, they don't have they have a good pass rush. It could be elite if Charles Omenihu was fully healthy. So you still got George Karlaftis, you still got Chris Jones, but those two guys are going to have to do a lot of the damage Thursday night because I'm just not sure how the back end is going to look quite because the corner situation has not really been resolved.
Yeah, you make a good point with the all 11 not playing together. There have been some injuries, but one thing I do know about Spags, I was with him for a few years and just watching the film and stuff like that. He plays so much of that too high shell look, 2 safeties on top, corners down below. You got to imagine, especially for my time with the Chargers, when you guys were breaking in new corners, they're going to cloud this safety over top the new corner, whoever it is. I promise you, that's not what's going to beat them. Like Spags is going to have a plan for that. It will be interesting to see how they gel together. But like Dianna and I went to Casey this summer, last day of OTAs, and we got to sit down with Big Red, man. And the first thing we asked him was how he felt about all the three-peat talk, because it's never been done before. And in fact, none of the 8 teams that have won back-to-back even return to the Super Bowl. It seems like talking to him, and Dianna got it out of him, like they feel really comfortable talking about it. Okay, we're gonna play a little game here before we let you go.
Okay.
The Chiefs will three-peat if what happens?
Travis Kelce stays healthy.
I was going to say Patrick Mahomes stays healthy.
Oh, interesting. I think that's a given, of course, but I mean, Travis is amazing. When you really look at the production this late in his 30s, like I think Tony Gonzalez and maybe Antonio Gates are the only 2 in the modern era that come close. But again, he's going on 35, getting ready to be 36. This is what, year 12? Like Travis Kelce is such a mismatch because he's so good. So that would be my answer, because the moment he was healthy and back to being the absolute best version of himself during the postseason, okay, now all the cards are on the table. Now they got a chance against Buffalo, Baltimore, San Francisco from last year.
Yeah, I like that answer. And they will not three-peat if
the Baltimore Ravens learn from last year.
Oh, yeah, they had a home game. They had a home game. They had the Chiefs where they won them.
Yes, and there's nothing better than experience sometimes for players, right? Like not everybody. I have to remind myself this too. Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes, where you just like go to the Super Bowl in year 2, or you go to the AFC Championship game your first year as a starter. You go to the Super Bowl in year 2, and you just roll from there. Like it takes guys a little bit longer, right, to fully understand what it takes to be a champion. And I get the sense, I love John Harbaugh. That coaching staff, that defense, you can pretty much always rely on it, no matter who the defensive coordinator is. Although I thought Mike McDaniel did a great job last year. Okay, like Lamar's still in his prime. You could say the same for Josh Allen, of course. But I just think the Ravens gained so much from what they went through in that AFC Championship game last year, because the Chiefs weren't awesome. They were just the team who made they made the least amount of mistakes. And if you let Patrick get the ball in the fourth quarter, as we saw, he can close the game. So I don't know if the Ravens have someone the equivalent of Chris Jones, but I do think there's a reason. As much as I don't love this game being in September, but there's a reason why we're starting the season off with this particular game.
Yeah, fireworks, man.
Yeah, because I do think the Ravens. Like I won't be surprised if the Ravens win on Thursday, but I do think
Detroit beat the Chiefs last year in Game 1. And what did the Chiefs do? Regrouped and went to the Super Bowl and won.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm going to tap into my expertise here and just let you know they're going to repeat if Travis and Taylor get engaged, and they don't repeat if Travis and Taylor break up. There's my
don't break up.
No,
you got the scoop right here. Scoop City. Do you have something to report like Adam Schefter did about a ring? Do you have anything like that?
I'm telling you guys, that is going to be the secret sauce to their success. Those two stay in love, they're going to win this thing again. Nate, we love you. Thank you so much for hanging out on Scoop City. Your observations, reporting, even some of your analysis, it's top notch, man. So make sure you check out all of Nate's articles. He's got a big one coming out this week on The Athletic about the offseason and how this Kansas City Chiefs team was able to just really ride the ship and start the season here. And here's the thing. We don't know the answer. We don't know if they are able to get through it. So we will see. 3P, obviously the biggest story of the NFL season. Nate, thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you, guys. Love you to death. I will always be listening.
All right, back here on Scoop City as we are counting down the hours to get to Thursday night football. Friday night, we've got a big game in Brazil. And It's exciting because it's being played in a different country. It's exciting because this is something that we've never seen the NFL do before. But unfortunately, it's coming with a lot of concerns, some regulations, a lot of the players from both the Eagles and the Packers being told they can't leave their hotels, a lot of families not even traveling because of it.
Wild.
Right? A lot of different reasons why this game can be a little sticky. But international games in general, the NFL wants to continue to expand and grow, and I understand it. But for the players, I very rarely talk with them and feel like they are excited about it. What is it about international games from your experiences? Because you've done it 3 times, right?
3 separate times. I mean, it's crazy to me that we've been over that many times. 2015 with the Chiefs, 2017 with the Saints. When my kid was born and 4 weeks old, I had to go over there and spend a week away from him. That was brutal. And then 2018 or 19 with the Bears. And I've done it different ways, right? Like this is what we talk about. It's you will either go over the entire week and spend the whole week there, which is awful. It is so bad because you miss your family. You're not with your kids. Like some people like it, but you just get more jet lag. And then the other way of doing it is go over Thursday night and you get in Friday morning London time, and then you practice and you have Saturday to explore London. You play the game Sunday and you fly home. That's what I prefer. But my issue is, Dianna, is at what expense is the NFL trying to grow the international game? Okay, you're playing in some pretty hostile environments. Brazil, Mexico City, Germany and London, from all accounts, are pretty safe. But I know some people that played in Mexico City with the Chiefs said they had to stay in their hotel. It was the exact same thing. So you're sending a team halfway across the country, and you're not supposed to wear green. They put 2 green teams in the Brazil game. You don't have X, like a nation or countrywide ban on Twitter. So it's going to be like watching football in the 1990s where there's no social media. Like I'm just going to have to actually watch the game because I like Twitter. I'm like, I can't get my highlights on the game. But it's just an interesting stance that the NFL is taking, because I know for a fact, we've seen it on Twitter. I've talked to some people. There's a lot of Eagles people, players, families that don't want to play this game because they are legitimately worried for their safety.
I know, and I'm curious to see during the off season when these conversations start happening about the future. And look, plans are usually in place by now anyway for next year. But is the juice worth the squeeze in this? And look, the NFL is going to want good headlines coming out of this. They want to grow the game there. It is a growing sport in Brazil. So I understand why they did it. We'll just see if they'll be able to come out of this with everyone being safe and enjoying this experience.
Yeah.
So both teams flying out Wednesday, playing the game, getting back on that plane for I know for Philly specifically, 10, 12-hour flight home. So hopefully Wi-Fi for all. I am not. Do you see this thing that's going around where people are challenging themselves to see if they can go on flights?
Good use on word. I know what it's called, and we can't use it on this podcast.
Without music, movie, internet. Could you do it? Could you do a
I heard
flight?
it's bad for your health. Absolutely. No, I can't. Sorry. Nope. No way. Can't do it.
I know. We know that. Could you guys imagine a world where Chase doesn't tweet within I'll even give you a short flight, 45 minutes, New Jersey to Cleveland. Could you do it?
I don't really get on the internet on flights.
You don't?
No, I it's like a 35,000 foot spa retreat, in my opinion. I get on a movie, go to sleep, put on the headphones, maybe even read a book. No, I'm not reading a book.
So you're off social media when you fly. All right.
I am.
Note to self: get Chase on more flights. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Scoop City. We mentioned it before. We got Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen with us on Friday. Opening week, we got a star quarterback joining Scoop City. So
let's go.
We are going to ask him all the questions that you want to know. So we'll be with you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.
Thanks for tuning into Scoop City. If you want to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. We drop our new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.